Hello again. Welcome to week 2 or Learning Unit 2 in our SQL course, CSS3210. Let me give you a quick overview of what's required for this learning unit. Uh, First of all, you made it through week 1. And as you see, hopefully, if you had any questions, please contact me. I will definitely help guide you through the remainder of the course. So off to Learning Unit 2. Once again, we have our discussion question for the week. And we're going to look at SQL functions. So discuss 3 built-in SQL functions you learn about in this week's reading. So basically, there's a lot of built-in functions that you can use that can help you with your queries. So make sure you go through those. And then respond to the discussion question. And that reminds me, it's probably best to dig into the research and the reading, or even do your own research before you go into the homework itself. And as you see, there's quite a few assignments in our quiz, looking at particular functions, date calculations, aggregate function, which is basically grouping functions, manipulating string values in a table, sorting data in a table, ranking data, grouping data, which goes with that aggregate functions, filtering group data in a table, summarizing group data using pivot and unpivot operators, all very good exercises that you'll truly see in the workforce. If you become a data analyst or even just a assistant database administrator, or even if you're working on securing data for AI or machine learning, you truly see these particular aspects. Once again, the U-certified environment is very useful. You can see all of the particular, basically, this gives you kind of a view of all of the information for each of the learning units and each of the weeks. We're in week 2. We start out with 2.1.1. Once again, you have your right panel. And basically, please read through the information. It goes through a couple of very basic queries. It's always best to try these out and then, once again, go into the lab. And you can, I would suggest just either watching the video first and then going into the lab and watching the video in conjunction with the lab. Once again, if you click on this Windows 10, it actually will open up a virtual machine, Windows 10 machine, within your browser. So, and essentially all of your keystrokes will work in here. And you have SQL Server Manager 2014 and 2012. And some of the other attributes of Windows 10. But that is essentially the lab environment. Once again, just to give you another quick preview of the SQL Server, I've used it. You have all the settings for you. Remember, you can take a look at your database itself, and you should pretty much have a pretty good idea of what's entailed. Take a look at this sales DB that gives you the tables, the customers, employees, and you can do a lot just by looking at the format or the structure in this Object Explorer. And basically, once you go to the lab, and I'm just going to run this example for you here. So I showed you a very basic select statement from my SQL developer in Oracle, and you can also do this in the SQL Server. So I'm just going to do a select star from, and DBO, and you learned before, that's just a database object. So I should be able to essentially access the tables. Hopefully this will work. So I'm doing a select star from employees. And so, and I forgot, you actually have to use the schema As you see here, our little drop down, and that's why we get the red underscore here. I didn't cover this last week, but we can choose our little sales DB here from the schema, and you notice that that little red underscore goes away because we have access to that table, and we can run the query, and it brings back all the results from that. So just another kind of an example of running these queries. You can actually save your queries on this particular desktop as well. A lot of things that you can do, and because it is truly a Windows machine, and hopefully you're familiar with Windows. You can even read a flash drive if you want to save it there, just like it's your regular computer. You can make this full screen if you like. All kinds of things that you can do in this environment. All right, so that's just a quick kind of hit on one of the assignments for Learning Unit 2. Remember, I would suggest navigating using the Learning Unit links. So if you open up the Learning Unit page and we're in Learning Unit 2, so you can navigate to uCertify from here, or basically once you're in the environment, you can do your navigation from there. So quick overview. Once again, my suggestion is to dig right in. One assignment after another. Once you're in that uCertify, it should be becoming a little bit easier now, but the best thing to do is get in there and do the work. And yes, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I'm always available and I'm ready to answer you as needed. Thanks for watching. See you next week.